High up above the Mediterranean Sea, newborn monkeys prepared to patrol the Rock of Gibraltar. Across the Atlantic, flamboyant flamingos forage to feed their flock. And a single mother manatee trains her young in the ways of the wild. Bound together by a common goal, fighting for their future. For these animals, family life is the key to survival. Inside the different realms of the wild kingdom, members of a single species assemble in droves. And one flock, herd, or troop reigns supreme. These are the world's great animal empires. At the southern tip of Europe, the Rock of Gibraltar stands guard at the gateway between the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. This is one of the pillars of Hercules, the end of the known world in Greek mythology. The British flag now flies above this strategically valuable post. And modern myth says it will stay here, as long as Gibraltar's wild monkeys remain rulers of the rock. Currently, there are just over 200 Barbary macaques living amongst the 30,000 residents of the small, densely populated city of Gibraltar. Hundreds of tourists also flock to the rock every day. The hustle and bustle of the city is a part of life for the macaques. But make no mistake, these are wild monkeys. In fact, they are the only non-human primates that live wild in Europe. The empire of the Barbary macaques is scattered across northern Africa, once known as the Barbary Coast, and here in Gibraltar. In 2009, the species was declared endangered. Deforestation has decimated the Atlas Mountains of Algeria and Morocco, which was once home to 3/4 of the Barbary macaque population. So while Gibraltar's stronghold is thriving, it may also be the last hope for the Barbary macaques. If this animal empire is to rise again, it must have a well-established succession plan. Macaques form social groups of 10 to 100 individuals called troops. While hierarchy among females is based on birthright, male members of the troop must fight for their rank. Two competing males joust with each other to establish dominance. The fight draws a crowd. Potential allies pick sides, hoping to be part of the winning coalition. As is often the case, the elder emerges the winner. It's not uncommon for these sparring matches to leave lasting scars. But it's well worth it. To the victor goes the spoils. Evidence suggests it's the macaque female who chooses her mate. And chances are she'll pick the winning male. But Barbary macaques are a promiscuous bunch. After partnering with a dominant male, females will mate with others in the troop. This increases the odds of conception. It also means there's no way to know whom the father is. In a busy city like Gibraltar, this could pose a problem. A baby monkey is vulnerable. Danger lurks around every corner. Someone will have to help protect the heir to the empire. To the west, across the Atlantic, the Caribbean Sea rests between the coasts of two continents. This is the breeding ground of the American flamingo, also known as the Caribbean flamingo. These are the only flamingos found in North America. At least, the only real flamingos. It was artist Don Featherstone in 1957 who created the now infamous pink plastic lawn ornaments. Fake foul folk art is an icon of American kitsch that is celebrated to this day and a popular prank on 40th birthdays. From cave drawings to Alice's croquet mallets, this colorful character has been making an appearance in artwork and stories for centuries. In the natural world, the American flamingo is currently thriving. But that may not last long. Other flamingo species in the Western Hemisphere, like the Chilean and Andean flamingos, are in decline. Current trend suggests the American flamingo may face the same fate. If they are to avoid the fall of their empire, flamingo families must ensure their bloodlines. And that means relying on a heavily coordinated mating ritual. The American flamingo lives throughout the Caribbean, and from South Florida in the north to Venezuela in the south. Each year, thousands travel from the mainland of Venezuela to the island of Bonaire to breed. And Pekelmere, on the southern tip of the island, is the largest natural flamingo sanctuary in the Western Hemisphere. It's an ideal habitat for these aquatic birds. Pekel is Dutch for saltwater, and meer means lake. The shallow water is home to algae, insects, and the meal of choice for flamingos, shellfish. This is the source of their signature look. These crustaceans contain large amounts of beta-carotene, just like carrots. And it's beta-carotene that makes flamingos pink. These birds seem proud of their pink plumage. Flamingos spend about a quarter of their time preening, nearly twice as much as other waterfowl. When birds preen, they gather oil from a gland at the base of their tail. They then redistribute the oil to the rest of their bodies. It keeps the bird's feathers in tip-top shape. Here on Bonaire's breeding grounds, looking good is especially important. In addition to keeping them warm and dry, well-preened plumage helps attract a partner. Like many other species, these birds compete for a mate. But this isn't a show of strength. It's more like a dance competition. All at once, groups of tens or even hundreds within the colony will begin an elaborate series of movements, all with the goal of attracting a mate. And the flamboyant flamingos have some fancy dance moves. They start with a head flag, stretching their necks and heads high, bill pointing up and moving their heads from side to side. They then lift their wing in a salute to show off their plumage. And finally, the twist preen. Each bird twists its head back and quickly preens. But unlike the macaques of Gibraltar, a flamingo couple will usually mate for life. All the more reason for this single adult female to be picky in choosing her partner. Finally, the dance ends, and Cupid's arrow finds its mark. A female calls out to her chosen mate, then starts walking away from the group, making herself available. She stops, lowers her head, and spreads her wings. It's an invitation for the male to mount. It's a complex operation, made no easier by the fact that it all takes place in the water. For this couple, it's just the first of many challenging steps in starting a flamingo family. They must now build a nest big and strong enough to resist flooding and changes in temperature. The bond between these partners may be unbreakable, but the fragile egg they hope to produce is not. "2,000 kilometers northeast from Bonaire, the coast of Florida is a much sought-after winter escape. And not just for humans. When the temperature drops in December, manatees begin to move from the cold open ocean to the warmer inland waters along the coast. Manatees are large marine mammals that belong to the order Sirenia. Sirenia is from the Latin siren, or mermaid. The myth of a part woman, part fish has existed as long as there have been seafarers. Christopher Columbus himself wrote of the female forms that rose high out of the sea. Historians believe this is the first written record of a manatee sighting in these waters. Similar to flamingos, West Indian manatees range from the southeastern United States to the northern coast of South America. Manatees are slow-moving and have a low metabolic rate. This leaves them vulnerable in the cold. Exposure to water temperatures below 20 degrees Celsius can lead to a condition called cold stress syndrome and even death. So, like the snowbirds that make the annual migration south for the winter, these manatees head for warmer climes. One popular destination is Sanibel Island, off the coast of Fort Myers, Florida. Its warm water springs, lagoons, and bayous offer ideal habitats to find a mate. But that habitat is shrinking. And so too is the manatee population. It's estimated that there are fewer than 6,500 manatees in Florida. Few enough to be considered endangered. Because females give birth only once every 2 years, every chance to breed is crucial to sustaining their empire. In one of Sanibel Island's warm water springs, a female lays in wait. She has the full attention of multiple male suitors. A dozen bulls follow her, forming a mating herd. Within the herd, these males compete to become the first to mate. Like the macaques, more than one will have a chance at fathering her calf. It's a matter of playing the odds. For this female to have the best possible chance at conception, she will mate with multiple members of the herd. Three weeks later, the males disperse. Their part in the breeding process is complete, and it's been a success. This female is now pregnant. Her pregnancy will last a whole year. During this time, the mother manatee and her unborn calf are vulnerable. When these big mammals break the surface to breathe, they're an unwitting target for the hull or prop of a boat. Most of Florida's manatees bear distinctive scars to prove it. Locals say that not a single manatee has gone unscathed. This potential new manatee mother must be cautious and careful if she's to survive long enough to deliver the newborn now growing inside her. High up on the Rock of Gibraltar, 6 months have passed, and a new member has joined the troop. Like other primates, the baby macaque sticks close to its mom at first, feeding on her milk. Though sometimes mistaken as apes, macaques are in fact monkeys. The difference is in the tail. Most monkeys have them. Apes don't. Though it doesn't look like it, macaques do have a tail. It's just really small. A fully grown macaque's tail is only between 4 and 20 millimeters long. And there is another extraordinary quality that makes the Barbary macaques unusual. Males play an active role in parenting. It's uncommon among primates, especially when paternity is uncertain. Since it's near impossible to know whom the father is, it would be easy enough for any mating male to be a deadbeat dad. Instead, they all pitch in. Perhaps because of this uncertainty, all male Barbary macaques in a troop are integral to raising all the infants. It's a form of what scientists call Aloe Parenting, when individuals other than the biological parents act in a parental role. For the Barbary macaques, it really does take a village to raise a family. Just months ago, these male macaques waged war for the affection of a female. But when it comes to childcare, they must put aside their differences and help train and protect the troop's new recruits. It's a challenging responsibility. After a few months, the young macaque is eager to roam the slope and explore the empire it will one day inherit. Now weaned from its mother, it must find food on its own. But Gibraltar is a busy post. The roads of the rock are dangerous, especially for a hungry and curious little monkey. On the Caribbean island of Bonaire, when it comes to nesting, birds of a feather truly flock together. The expecting flamingo parents join other couples, all nesting together at the same time once a year. The success of this animal empire is based on the colony's chicks all hatching in sync. This makes it easier to provide for the newborns, a responsibility that, like the Barbary macaques, is shared by all the adults of the flock. To get ready for laying and hatching, both the male and female help build the nest out of mounds of mud, stone, straw, and feathers. Construction takes about 6 weeks. The flamingos use their bills to make the mound by bringing the mud and other materials towards their feet. If they build it right, it will stand about 30 to 45 centimeters tall and will be shaped like a volcano. On top, they make a shallow well for the egg. The mound helps keep the egg at a constant temperature. It also keeps it out of ground-level flooding. The nest has to be built well enough to hold the egg and mom and dad for at least a month. Once the nest is complete, Mother Flamingo lays her egg. Flamingos usually lay one large egg. It's shaped the same as a chicken egg, but weighs 2 to 3 times as much. Both parents help with incubation while they wait. And after just under a month, the egg hatches. Both mother and father are there when the chick emerges from its shell. They stand over and gently preen and nibble the newborn. At first, the chick can only move by pushing its wings and lifting its head. As the hours and days pass, it grows stronger and begins to walk. Its red bill and plump, swollen legs turn black after a week or so. After 10 days, the new chick is ready to join a creche. It's a kind of flamingo daycare where chicks are watched by a group of adults. There's still a long way to go before he is ready to leave the nest for good. He must learn to feed on his own. And with human civilization expanding nearby, Bonaire's once bountiful banquet is depleting. There's simply not enough grub to go around. With thousands of mouths to feed, the newest members of this empire will need to learn to fight for food, or flee if they are going to survive. The inland waters of Florida's Sanibel Island are calm and quiet. It's been a year since the manatee mating herd dispersed. The pregnant female has managed to stay safe and secure in the warm, shallow waters of the mangroves. And she's now the proud mother of a new baby calf. Like most manatee births, her newborn is a single calf, just over 1 meter long and weighing between 25 and 30 kilograms. Within minutes of birth, the precocious newborn manatee calf is able to swim. Like all mammals, manatees need air to breathe. They hold their breath underwater while closing the flaps on their nostrils. They can stay submerged for as long as 20 minutes, but they'll usually go to the surface every 5 minutes to breathe. And while the newborn can swim to the surface on his own, he needs a bit of encouragement. An attentive mother is right alongside to make sure her baby does as nature intended. The calf begins to feed within a few hours after birth, nursing from teats located behind his mother's flippers. During nursing, the mother and calf bond is strong. West Indian manatees can grow as large as 4 meters long and weigh 500 kilograms, about as much as a grand piano. Manatees are sometimes called sea cows, and given their size and shape, it's easy to see why. Their closest relative is, in fact, a 4-legged land animal. But it's not the cow. It's the elephant. There's an unusual twist in this family tree. It's thought that manatees evolved from a land mammal and moved to the sea. The opposite of the usual evolution story that tells of animals leaving the water for land. Now, millions of years later, manatees have adapted to life in the sea. Unlike macaques and flamingos, by the time this newborn manatee takes his first breath, his father will be long gone. Mom will be the sole parent for the crucial first years of this vulnerable infant's life. The young manatee stays close to his mother's side at all times. While adults typically swim in single file, the calf will always travel parallel to his mother. Sticking close means mother and calf can stay in constant communication. Manatees are relatively quiet creatures, but they can emit a wide range of sounds. Mother and calf are especially talkative. The calf cries out when it's hungry or gets separated. This dependency will continue for as long as 2 years. During this time, Mother Manatee will serve as teacher. The young manatee is an attentive student, and he must be. There's lots to learn about migration routes, rest areas, and especially how to find food. These mammals are herbivores and eat a variety of plants. Mother Manatee will eat 15% of her body weight every day. The newborn must learn to find enough food on his own if he's to make it past his second birthday. And foraging for food pushes the young manatee further into Florida's busy waterways and into the path of potential danger. Putting food on the table is a fundamental part of any family life. Once infants have been weaned, they have to learn how to forage on their own. A young Barbary macaque takes its lead from the troop's senior supervisors, searching the slopes of the Rock of Gibraltar for a meal. The diet of most macaques consists of a mixture of plants and insects like snails, worms, and spiders. The Gibraltar monkeys have an advantage over their African and Asian kin. They are a popular tourist attraction. And despite rules against feeding, they get, and often take, their fair share of handouts. Hand feeding often encourages good monkeys to behave badly. Local officials have taken measures to control the feeding. They offer grains of barley and chopped up vegetables to keep the monkeys happy and occupied. It's a healthier alternative to human leftovers that can cause tooth decay and disease. But it's a less than ideal solution to a serious problem. Any helping hand from humans puts the monkeys at risk. On the Rock of Gibraltar, natural predators like dogs and birds are scarce. Cars and trucks, however, are not. A sentinel watches from above as other members of the troop scavenge for food. Suddenly, he appears agitated, scratching and moving sporadically. He senses danger and calls out to the rest of the troop. It's a very specific call. Pitch and loudness vary based on the caller and whom he's calling. Barbary macaques can tell the difference between calls by members of their own troop from those in other groups. They even have different calls for different threats. It's an essential skill for the society to survive. Thanks to the warning signal, the foraging party is able to move out of harm's way. As the sun sets over the Mediterranean, the Barbary macaques seek shelter in the trees along the slopes of the Rock of Gibraltar. The juvenile monkeys are now safe and secure in the company of the troop. To relieve the stress of a dramatic day, they relax by grooming. Though it sometimes results in a snack, the main function of grooming seems to be to soothe the nerves. Scientists believe that it's the groomer, not the groomed, that benefits the most. And as they have for the last few months, male adults play a leading role in ensuring the juveniles have a chance to unwind. In just a few more years, when they reach the age of 4 or 5, the juveniles will be ready to start their own families. And they too will have to help their young navigate the streets of Gibraltar. For the last 6 centuries, macaques and humans have managed to live together in these tight quarters. Both must follow the rules of the rock if they're to continue to coexist for the centuries to come. It's not just mammals like monkeys and manatees that provide milk to their newborns. When young flamingos are born, both mother and father produce a liquid food in a pouch in their throat called a crop. They regurgitate this flamingo milk to the young. It's also the color red. While the baby is gray or white at birth, the pigment from the flamingo milk will turn it pink after a year or so. Then he's on his own. Once the young flamingo's beak is developed, he must learn how to use it. A flamingo's beak is custom built for the job of filtering food. The top looks like an inverted spoon. Inside are hundreds of horny plates similar to certain baleen whales like humpbacks. These work like a filter or sieve. In shallow water, they use their long legs like stir sticks, churning the sediment on the bottom. The hungry flamingo dips its head upside down, taking a mouthful of water laden with insects, tiny crustaceans, and algae. It then pumps its muscular tongue like a piston to drive water through the filter. Algae and shellfish now take the place of the red milk, providing the beta-carotene that keeps the flamingo's feathers pink. As the chicks grow, so too will their appetites. Flamingos spend about a third of their time feeding. Most eat during the night, but breeding flamingos will also eat during the day. Producing milk for their chick leaves both parents looking rather pale. They've lost much of their pretty pink plumage and must eat extra helpings of shellfish to return to their former glory. with growing chicks and hungry parents, the demand on food sources here in Bonaire increases. And there's not enough to feed the thousands of beaks. Both climate change and encroaching development are putting a strain on the wetlands on which flamingos depend for food. And when food is scarce, hungry birds get agitated. Though they may have a reputation as peaceful and gentle creatures, when it comes to food, these birds aren't afraid to fight. It starts with a show of force. They expand their plumage and open their wings, each competitor trying to show he or she is the biggest and strongest. If an actual fight breaks out, it's called bill fencing. A parry and thrust of necks and bashing together of beaks. Finally, one bird gets tired and walks away. But diminishing resources don't diminish their appetites. Everyone has to eat. As a result, every day, a few hundred leave the island for the coastal waters of nearby Venezuela in search of more food. Flamingos may not look like they were built to fly. Their legs are longer than their bodies, and their necks are so long they need 19 bones for support. But they are, in fact, expert and frequent flyers. They need a running takeoff to get their long, lean bodies in the air and must continuously flap their wings. Once they take to the skies, adult flamingos can fly up to 65 kilometers per hour. They need the speed. Theirs is a daily round-trip commute, 80 kilometers from Bonaire to the mainland and back again. By the time the youngsters reach 2.5 months old, they too were able to make the flight. But they're traveling on a different itinerary. They will stay on the mainland for 4 to 5 years until they reach sexual maturity. Only then will they return to the breeding grounds of Bonaire, with the hopes that it will still have enough resources for them to continue the life cycle of their empire. Manatees spend approximately half of their days sleeping underwater. They spend the remainder of their time mostly eating. A fully grown manatee can consume over 45 kilograms of plants. That means mom is munching on a meal for up to 7 hours every day. Now she must teach her calf how to use his flippers to walk along the bottom, to dig for plants and roots on the seafloor. When she finds a plant, she uses her flippers to scoop the vegetation toward her lips. A manatee's lips are split in half. Left and right sides can move independently and have 7 muscles. They work much like the trunk of their distant relative, the elephant. They're called prehensile lips. They work back and forth in a way that helps them graze on seagrass and large leafy plants. The manatee does not have front teeth. Behind the lips, on the roof of the mouth, are dense, rigid pads like molars, used to tear through and grind plants. On Sanibel Island, it may appear as though the manatees live a tropical life of leisure, relaxing and feasting in the warm, shallow water. But this image is deceiving. Boat strikes kill an average of nearly 100 animals every year. Water pollution and rising sea temperatures also cause red tide, large concentrations of toxic algae that kill hundreds of manatees a year. It takes females 5 years and males 8 before they reach sexual maturity. Manatees that don't make it that long don't have a chance to breed. Conservation efforts are helping to protect these docile, mythical creatures. But for now, Mother Manatee must trust that her newborn is well equipped to survive in the wild and will live long enough to start a family of his own. From southern Europe to the islands of the Caribbean, to the warm waters of Florida, the survival of each of these species depends on preserving its lineage. Macaques, flamingos, and manatees all face looming threats at the hands of an expanding human population. Whether by working together or forced to go it alone, family life is paramount to ensuring the next generation can adapt to a changing environment and continue the legacy of these animal empires.